Welcome to the U.S. Open 10-Ball Championship, proudly presented by CueSports International and hosted here in Las Vegas at Griff's Billiards. This is our semifinals match. Alternate break, race to 9. Let's meet our two opponents. First up from New Zealand, let's put our hands together for Marco Teutscher. And his opponent from the Philippines. We have a nice round of applause for Jeffrey DeLuna. Gentlemen, have a great match, and you may lag for break.
Welcome, everyone. Third and final day of the U.S. Open 10-Ball Championships at Griff's in Las Vegas, Nevada, presented by CueSports International, sponsored by Cyclop, Kamui, Predator, Simonis, JB Cases, and Discount Custom Apparel. This is a semifinal match between Jeffrey DeLuna and Marco Teutscher. In the booth is George Teutscher and Jeremy Jones.
George, two guys that both ran deep on the winner's side, and then Marco's suffering his first loss earlier today in the hot seat match to one Dennis Urculio, who we'll see in our final following this semifinal. And then Jeffrey with a big win over Thorsten right there. And Thorsten, you know, talked to him a little bit right there after the match and congratulated him on a really nice tournament. And good to see him back getting some results that he wants. Still a little frustrated he's not still in it, and that's real natural.
Sure. It was a tight match. I mean, Thorsten lost 9-7 to Jeffrey, and both Jeffrey and Marco lost to Dennis Urculio. The match before the hot seat match, Jeff played Dennis and lost that in a hill-hill battle, and actually a match that he could have won. He made some mistakes and lost it. And then Marco kind of, Dennis seems to have found his stroke, I guess you might say, or pace, and was able to defeat him. What was it, 9-6?
Yeah, it was 8-3, I believe, at one time. And then actually Dennis had made a mistake, and Marco took advantage with a break and run also, and then got it to, I believe it was 8-5 or 8-6.
It was, came close, but he came back a little bit. But Jeffrey has won the break here, and we're off and running.
Oh, he's lost it on the wrong side, so that usually offers, okay.
There goes the ball.
Yeah, the 3 trickled in off the 10. But a lot of times you break from the left, you hit on the right. That's when we miss those balls. We brought it up before. This is where I like him trying to be aggressive, meaning going after the one and just going back and forth and taking a cut on the 2. And if he gets out of line with it, that's all right. But there's a little gap between the 9-10 where he can get the cue ball back down the table after shooting the 2. So I like simplifying on the 1 here and just cutting this in and going back and forth. Is he playing the safety behind the ball?
It looks like he is.
It's a nice shot, but with the jump cue available, I liked him shooting at it, to be honest with you. And I understand the pass on the safety, the call shot rules. There's a little more value on the safety, you would think. But early in the rack, unless you're getting them really snookered, these guys come away with a lot, even if they have to go the air a little bit or kick. And I think he's left him a piece of this.
Well, we've seen if they use the jump cue, they use it successfully.
Oh, well, he can see all this. He's shooting with his regular cue, and he's banking this in.
Oh, boy.
And shoving the cue ball somewhere or drawing it maybe into that position I was talking about, just to the far side of the 8. Or he's crossing it over softly. But he did call it cross side, so. It's going to go long, and that's usually not the way you want to miss it. Okay, now Jeffrey's going to get in that position I was talking about. Just being able to shoot the 2 from right there,
Right,
just
by
the
where
far
the one
side
is.
of the just far side of the 8 a little bit. And that offers a nice angle to cut the 2 in and come right between the 9-10 all the way back down for probably what is a 4-6 combination.
Nice slow roll. He'll be coming by that 9 ball for the upper right open area on the table, where he's looking at now for that combination you just spoke of.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I was wondering why he didn't take the 1 on. Maybe he didn't see he could go back and forth and get this cut on the 2, which is because the 1 was very makeable. I mean, he was a hair elevated, but on the way. Oh, okay. That's going to have a lot more steam on it, and that's a sign of nerves right there when he overhit that quite a bit. And now got himself in a position where the carom shot or the combination is not easy. Looks like to me he's playing safe. Looks like he's just bumping the 4 past the 6. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, especially because he got the most out of it.
Well, he got a lot out of it, but Marco, as we've seen in several matches now,
kicks the ball
very well.
Yeah. Takes a lot of time doing it. He definitely won't get in any hurry. He's got to just kick across that way. And again, you want to try to hit the bottom side. You can see that leads towards maybe putting the cue ball behind the 6, but I kind of like this shot myself.
The 2-railer?
Yeah, and not so much just because it's an easier hit, but without having anything guaranteed as far as a snooker, I think this sends the balls into more percentage-wise, you might get away with it. Sends the 4 up. If you come across the 4 with the cue ball, it might go 1 row back towards the 6. Okay, you can get a heavy hit. But the main thing is you're sending the 4 into congestion, and that's the plus side. I think Jeffrey can get it all this 4. And if he can, he'll just most likely keep it simple and bank the 4 around the 5, in between the 5 and the 7 backup table, and hold the cue ball behind the 9, 10, and 8. He's calling the 7 in the side, and that's something the players will do, but definitely not wanting to make it. But that's just in case he does make it. No reason to leave his opponent the option. Well, and he made it.
Now he's going to jump it, or he might have an open. Nope, no jump.
Well, it might be a full cue, full cue jump here, because this is just a sliver of the 9. And there's plenty of distance between the cue ball and the 9. Now he went straight to the jump cue, but me myself, if I feel confident with the fuller cue here where I want power on the ball, I don't want to go right into the 6 right here. I want to come backwards with the cue ball.
That's hard to do with the jump cue because you got to elevate a lot.
Yeah.
And
well, it's a
it's gonna lose
phenolic
some
tip,
steam. Yep.
which doesn't put as much on the ball, I don't think. Now he got some draw out of it.
Though. Wow, that was a good shot. He's shown that shot a couple of times now, where he draws the ball real well off the jump.
Well, he could stay a little more where he's projecting the cue ball forward because there wasn't much of a jump on the 9. So that gives it a little better chance to have more power on it because the cue ball's not going quite as far vertically. Uh-oh. Well, he's gotten away with a few of those.
I don't understand why he didn't go underneath the 10 and come up around the 8. I thought it laid nice for that. I never saw him drawing the ball there.
Well, I didn't mind the draw, but you also have to realize that it's not, very rarely, believe it or not, especially at this level, you come up and you say to yourself, hey, let me just put as much draw on as possible and I'll be free and clear. You still want to control the draw shot to a particular part on the rail, especially on the slick table, because you never know how it's going to react. Sometimes it really takes. And Jeffrey, with that powerful draw stroke,
likes to use it.
Yeah, we've seen it help him in some situations, but I think also when he just lets it go, sometimes it can be a hair unpredictable.
We've seen it hurt him.
Okay, I might look at the kick here. I know it sounds crazy, but he's looking at the shot, really? Well, it's not horrible, and I guess he feels like there's a big two-way behind the 8 with the cue ball.
Yeah.
But the way the 9, 10, and 8 are laying, if he can kick with a high right and just hit past the side, he's in a real good spot where he's putting the object ball. Okay, he was solely trying to play this.
So he was going cue ball towards the 8 the whole time.
Yeah, and I don't even think he was really giving much of an effort on the object ball. It was kind of like the first shot he opened this run with, where he was banking the 4 away and just calling the 7 in the side just in case. It's kind of the same thing there with the bank on the 6. But this is also one you have to be very aware of in this day and age, playing rotation pool, is how effective these guys are with the jump cue.
Well, these two gentlemen were both seated. Marco, I believe, was seated 9th, and Jeffrey must have been seated about
7th,
8th,
7th,
7th. Yep. Because they were seated by Fargo rate. You see their rating on the bottom there, underneath their name. And that's how effective they use the jump cue.
And that's a little bit more why playing a looser shot on the safety for Jeffrey was a little alarming to me. Just a little bit. I mean, again, the guy's got to make a great jump shot on you, but they do it time and time again these days. So if he could have played a little more guarantee on the 6, putting the 6 really where if he does jump at it, it's not makeable. Maybe it's on a rail somewhere or something like that, or there's 8 feet between. Got funny here, though.
Well, I'd look at him to slice us in the side and just go ahead and let the cue ball run towards that 9 ball 3 rails.
Yeah, but it's going to have a lot of speed, and he could easily get on top of this 9 unless he wants to really slow roll this 8 to the hole. I think it's going to be pretty thin. Still got to do it kind of shot anyways. Even if you get a little thin on the 9, you cut it in and run into the 10, something like that. But don't sacrifice the 8 trying to hold so easily for the 9. I like that actually even better, just because it's a more secure way to shoot the 8.
Right, and look how nice he landed on the 9, for the 9.
Okay, and I don't mind them taking a little more time here. These hair of an off-angle shots in the side can be taken for granted a lot.
And it looks like Marco's able to capitalize and take the first game. And Jeff's break for a win. Immediately breaking his first break there, and allowing himself to go up those 2-0, starting off with a little bit of a lead here.
Well, I talked about Marco. He reminds me of Keith Bennett, the way he holds his backhand, the stroke, and a lot of the bridge and stuff. But when he gets down on the ball, eerily reminds me of, I don't know if you know him or not, Eric Horlifson, a great player from Canada. He's been a probably top 4 player in Canada for quite some time, behind Alex, John Moore, of course, Jason Klatt, right in that Jason Klatt, right, just maybe just percentage points, you might say, under Jason when Jason's playing. Eric, a great player, but when Marco gets over the ball, his head cocks a little bit just like Eric, resemble each other in size and stature. Eric, a really great player and a really good guy.
Yeah, you know a lot of heck, you know most of the players because you've been out there on the road with them. And across the pond, and
well, used to know.
I live in Tucson.
Quite a bit of the foreign players.
Yeah,
I was a little bit ignorant there in the last couple of years when I got back to going a little bit abroad and stuff with some of the new guys, but slowly but surely getting to know them. And there's so many of them. That's the hard part. It's like a teacher with an unlimited amount of students in their class. Probably hard to keep up with everyone's name.
Well, he made a nice break here. He's got a good shot on the 1 ball. Just going to want to come to the rail and back out, I believe, for the 2.
Well, he's close enough to the 1. If he wanted to kill it with like a low ball, he could do so. Or say he was a little further away, he would go back and forth. And the reason being is because the 3 is so handy. So if you get a little bit off on the 2, you could still probably make up for it with the 3 being so easy. So if he wanted to dig down on this and kill the cue ball to the center, nothing wrong with that. A lot of the guys these days don't use those type of strokes near as much. They'd rather just run the cue ball.
This right here.
Yeah. And I actually kind of like the kill shot in that spot just because you're so close to it, and it does make things a little easier here just because of the 6 and 7 across the table. He's got to think about those when he shoots this 2. Now, we've seen him do this before a couple times, unexpectedly also. Shoot the 2 and come above the side with draw and come 2 rails to that short little area real near the 3. We saw him do that last night where he really threatened the side pocket and the 8 ball going by. End up hitting it perfect, by the way. So he doesn't mind digging on the cue ball here, and like I said, bringing this past the side, avoiding the 6 and 7, and then falling on the 3. Yeah, like that. And if you have that shot in your repertoire, it's a good one. It comes up in some
practice. Yeah,
it comes up in some crucial areas. Yeah.
And not just for the short rails like that, going back and forth. On the long rails, it works nice too.
Yeah.
Not so much that you're going to come all the way down and back up.
Yeah, it doesn't come up as often.
For that line.
Right. It doesn't come up as often, but the same type of stroke comes up a lot, which is like an in-between. Not a full commitment to the draw, but you're certainly not rolling the ball in. And right there, after he shoots it, it looks like it makes perfect sense, right?
Sure. No, it's a shot you want to have in your bag.
Yeah, it requires a little more execution just because it's not your everyday stroke you put on the ball, but it sure makes things easy as far as playing position and staying away from trouble as well.
You'd like to have a cue ball in the vicinity where he's at now, a little closer to the 6 maybe.
Yeah, as long as just don't flirt with anything. The 7's near the side, so no reason to try and get so close to it and get on top of it. Yeah, something funny happening. That's all about recognizing your strengths, George, and one of them is this young man does not have a problem making the ball from a little extra distance.
Yeah, it's a little. He got a little closer than I would have liked to there.
Yeah, and it ended up okay, but even the heart rate going up for that while the ball was rolling out.
We've seen it roll
that can
like
wear
that.
on you.
We've seen it roll like that and then roll right on top of the ball.
Right.
So
it wears on us in the booth, so I'm sure it wears on these guys out in the
Now I think he
arena.
comes below to the left of the 8, or does he go up?
I would play long side myself because the long side you never flirt with the 10, meaning you got to go all the way to straight in or past not to have 10 ball trouble. Now he got there, but just an inch or two short of there, you can see he's got 10 ball issues.
That's why I like coming on the opposite side.
I like coming on the opposite side because you're always clear of the 10 then. There's never a problem.
But he did it successfully.
And
it
actually
preference.
It is preference, but it actually was less execution the other way also. You just hit it with a high outside and you roll over. That one he had to attack with inside English and make sure he didn't overhit it so the inside could take. But if he underhit it, you could see he was in trouble. Yeah, just shoot this in the corner. No reason to flirt with the sides. Don't go to a blind pocket, even though it's pretty easy. I mean, but the corner's a hanger.
And right off the bat, the first 2 games go to Marco Teutscher. Now, Marco started out 2 days ago with a bye, then defeated Mason Koch, Skylar Woodward, Shane Van Boney, Torsten Homan, and then was defeated and sent over to the one-loss side just this at noon today by Dennis Orcolo, 9-6. Now he faces Jeff DeLuna. DeLuna, on the other hand, started out 2 days ago with a bye also, since they are both seeded players. Then defeated Brandon Schuff, Ruslan Chinahov, Danny Olson, lost to Dennis Orcolo in a tough-fought battle 9-8, and then defeated Shane Van Boning and Torsten Homan, and found himself on the road back to the finals, because if he wins here, he goes on to the finals. If he loses here, or either player that loses here settles for third place and $3,800 plus 360 points for the all-around. The all-around is for the 10-ball and the 8-ball. $3,500 prize plus an entry to the 100,000 World 10-ball being played in March.
Oh, about 2 or 3 kisses there. Got that cue ball in the upper corner. And, off to the races again for Marco in game 3. He's got a combination he's got to shoot, but I think he's okay because he can just have the cue ball double kiss the one, I think. Doesn't have to do it like that, but that's an option. Right?
Mm-hmm. I like the combo here.
I mean, maybe it's a little too thin. Maybe it's risky, and he could shoot the 1 and roll up on the 5, and with the 6 being here and the 7 being on the opposite end, that kick is going to be tough.
Well, the good thing about it, if you're rolling up on this 5, he's going to try to get. Oh, he didn't quite get him. He wanted it against the rail and the ball, so he couldn't one rail kick it. And
well, I think the 6 has got him pretty much hammered off the one rail kick. Maybe.
Yeah.
Got him in trouble. And the 7's got him cut off the cross corner. I was going to say he may end up seeing a masse here. One of them heavy masses.
Oh, yeah. That we haven't seen. I haven't
don't
seen
see that very
often. No, I haven't hardly.
We talked about
hardly ever see
we
it
talked
anymore.
about a man that may have already shot it if he was in this position. We talked about him the other day, Mauro Paez.
Yes, he would.
Unbelievable.
In a
He'll bet
heartbeat,
like
he would,
even
yeah.
money on that shot right there.
Yeah.
He is
Come right out and back.
Unbelievable. Yeah, he'll go up there to the middle diamond and bring it back too. Watch, look, here we go. See?
Well, you know, back in the Moscone days, those are all his trick shots. You'd come out and come back to the rail just like that. Those, and so, you know, most regional players would execute that shot.
Okay, so he's going to spin it outward, trying to go by the in between the 4-6 and then back in between the 4-6 with a little right spin back towards the 1. Okay, he's going to get the hit, which is part of it. That's a start. He's going to contain Marco. At least keep him off the shot.
I think he's going to find himself behind the 5 ball.
Maybe. Drawing it, you mean? Yes. Elevating, drawing it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I'd like to come across the 1 somehow and go down table, but not sure that's really available. Maybe it is. He may be able to draw off of the 1 down below the 2. I'd love to shoot this way somehow, knowing I'm going to get a snooker.
Well, it looks like he's got a real high percentage one behind the deuce, and 1 ball ends up right by where the 5 ball is, or the 7, right between them, and he's got the deuce, the 10, and 9 there.
Well, I think to do that he's got to draw it. He can't hit it thin enough. I don't believe, anyways. He's going to coast behind the 6 and just try and get the 1 up. Yeah.
He's giving him a shot there, I think.
He's giving him a piece of it for sure. But that one was one that's probably not going to give up a horrible snooker against you, and he had a chance to get the hook behind the 6.
Mm-hmm.
And if he elevated and drew behind the 5, he had to execute pretty well. And man, the 1's going to be ricocheting pretty hard back and forth somewhere. Okay, he's going to chop the 1 towards the 7.
Try to come behind the deuce.
Yeah, looks like it.
He's put a lot of stuff on. He's got there.
Yeah, he's good. It's a good shot. Good shot. And this is where Marco, he'll survey a few different things. I like him kicking at it. If he can get before the side, that's where he wants to get, because he can just add a little right spin and roll towards the one instead of having to draw. If he has to hit past the side, he has to draw the ball a bit, which is okay. Still going to do it if need be.
He's gonna threaten this shot. He might make this ball. He's been kicking so well.
Well, if he can hit past the, before the side and with spin, he's got a good shot at hitting it how he wants. Just because it offers to, just a good way to get at the ball. Now Jeffrey wants to go offensive, and there's a cross side bank that does go, but where can he get position at, and how? Another thing that you have to be very disciplined about is, from one match to another in tournament play, if you play a bunch of guys a lot, it matters, but if you haven't played them a lot, it's a little different. But if a guy continually keeps kicking very well on you, well, that'll change your mental state of mind as far as wanting to keep playing safe on the guy. So you have to be very disciplined, knowing that, hey, I know he's a good kicker of the ball, but he still has a lower percentage kicking at this ball than me, maybe shooting at some type of bank or a combination or a bad shot. It's hard sometimes, especially, you used to play guys like Efren, and some people even went to the extreme to say, man, I'd rather let Efren see the ball than let him kick at it. And for the most part, that still can't be the case. You still would rather him be kicking. Now, he can't get between the 8 and the 7 to the back rail to kick this ball. If not, he's in trouble.
It looks like he can.
Well, he would have been looking that route immediately, I think, if he could. Yeah, you can't get much of a different visual on the screen there.
That's not why I'm laughing. It doesn't move, that's right.
It stays two-dimensional no matter how you look at it.
And it's funny because the reason I laughed, and I laughed out loud before, was I catch myself doing that all the time, and I laugh about it every time. Sit there, lean around to see if you can see around the 8 ball, It doesn't move.
No, it doesn't work. They're coming out with that TV soon, I think. Okay, so you may even have to elevate and jump a portion of this 9. No, he can get straight at that side rail. Right. So be surprised if he doesn't execute this. Now the key to this shot though is don't let off of it. You're going down the table a ways. The side rail knocks a little draw off as well. It's easy to want to steer this a little bit because it's a little further from the rail. Go ahead and let the stroke out. Don't worry about the 1 so much. See, you let up on the stroke and see what happens. It's a very common mistake. It's almost like something you have to do a few times before you recognize that, hey man, I can go ahead and hit that one, and that's a safer way to shoot it.
You had a little fuller and a little, like you said, with a good stroke.
Stay with maximum revolutions on the bottom part of that ball is the main thing.
Looks like he wants to come straight down. I'd come over by the side pocket with a cue ball and come across it.
By the side pocket?
Yeah, hit the head rail, side pocket, and then come like a 2-railer to the 3 ball. Off the 1.
To the 3 ball? He's got to get on the 2, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm saying with the cue ball to get position to get where he is now.
Oh, with the 8 there and all that? That's a lot of traffic. I'm not. I mean, I wasn't.
No. I got you.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about the draw stroke down the table. I was trying to see something else, but.
Yeah, I just felt that it kind of came out nice if I went to the head rail, to the diamond by the side pocket, and come in this way.
Yeah. Well, I definitely like that path if it's clear.
It wasn't clear, so yeah, just one of those shots that
You got to prefer,
I felt,
right?
I felt like I could
yeah, it's just
handle
like
it well.
like me. I set up above that ball, maybe cut it in and go to the top rail and come one rail down rather than drawing. Maybe sometimes it's a lot of preference in this game,
Sure.
especially with ball in hand, or when you're close to your work.
Well, DeLuna is going to make quick work of this.
Nice.
Should make
Get on the
quick work of
board
this.
too.
Yeah, and more importantly, get on the board.
That's right.
And I guess our referee and tournament director, John Lehman, is presiding on this. And he's looking at everything like he was looking very intently to see if he'd move that A ball with his hand.
Oh yeah.
We are playing all ball fouls.
Now, does the 8 pass the 9? I think it does.
This is a race to 9. Yes. The next match at 6 o'clock, though, when the winner here meets Dennis Circolo, it'll be a race to 11, single race to 11.
Jeffrey was just checking there. Well,
Okay.
yeah, he went about, let's see, about 11 feet right there. 10, 11 feet around the table. To get to about the position, it looked like he could just roll the ball in.
Well, he got on the board. Impressive position. Drawing at 3 rails to get on the 9.
Well, I hope Jeffrey doesn't think we question his draw stroke.
No, not at all. He's proven it's very effective. Las Vegas. Gosh, you can almost call Griff's home of the U.S. Open since they hold the bank pool, the straight pool, the 1 pocket, the 8 ball, the 10 ball. All right here at Griff's. It's put on, presented by CueSports International, sponsored by Cyclop, Kamui, Predator, Simonis, JB Cases, Discount Custom Apparel. Come on down, folks. Come on in. Have a nice meal while you watch some of the top players in the world battle it out.
Hold on. It's Marco's break.
Oh, Jeffrey was about to break, and it was Marco's break. Jeff won the lag, and our referee said, "Hold up, it's Marco's break."
I'm glad they caught that.
Yeah, I looked down at my score sheet and I actually realized it. But even had I realized it, it's not for us to say.
No, we can't intervene.
We can't intervene. We just report the news. We don't make it.
That's right.
cue ball is something. There goes the 4.
Yeah, we've had that ball kissing the side or going cross side. The 3's going to cover him up. I think, anyways. Pretty sure. Maybe not, though. Maybe he can get at this one.
Wow, sure does. Oh. Guess so, the way he's stroking the ball. Yeah.
I don't think he can get at a piece of it.
Him again, reaching around, looking around the 3 ball.
Well, you're not. I guarantee you're not very successful doing it, looking around that 3 ball.
Old habits die hard.
Right?
If he can, it looked like he could see the ball to make it.
Well, he just called it. So that tells me he's probably not cueing down on this. He's probably just taking his chance going forward with the cue ball. The 2 does pass the 10. Normally, if it's tight, you don't really hit draw English on the ball too often. Normally, a little bit more middle or high ball. Oh, he stunned it. What a great shot.
He's got a tight pocket by the 10 ball here, or will he play the 10 ball?
No, I'm sure
he'll
he'll
play
play
the
the
2
2,
ball,
yeah. But I like him settling for the long distance shot too, not simplifying everything on the 1 as much as possible. And again, what I think is one of his oh, he's calling the 10. Wow, this is surprising here, and I'm wondering why. I know he has a pocket on the 2, and does he feel like he can't get position on the 3 maybe? Because this is not an easy combination.
No, it's not.
And this is one you think maybe comes with a little bit of a safety, but the 2 doesn't go where you think when you miss it. See? The 2 doesn't go up table when you miss it because you missed it thick.
Right.
If you cut it in, the 2 goes right up table, but that's really doesn't matter because you just made the 10. So the shot's really not about two-way too much. It's either more about I make or I don't.
Well, I thought he might shoot the 10 if it didn't go by, but the 2 ball went by. And once I saw that, when we pointed out that it went by,
it sure appeared
it sure looked like the 2 ball was a shot with position for the 3.
Well, great shot there by Jeffrey, that's for sure. And that small angle into the side, and putting enough power to get all the way back across with a high ball.
But in cases like that 10 ball he just shot, ours is not to question why.
Well, I'd like to figure out why, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I guess position was what he thought he couldn't really gain.
Or he just felt he could make the combo because the 10 ball was there, and might as well take a stab at it. I guess that's a regional player's thinking, not a top pro.
No. When you shoot it combos like that, it's almost. When that's the choice, it's more of a, well, if I miss it, I deserved to lose this game because it was one I'm supposed to shoot at. But that one sure looked like he wasn't like a big favorite, if a favorite at all, to make it. He wasn't very close to the 2 ball at all. So losing a little accuracy because of distance, and then the 10 wasn't all. He had to cut the 10 quite a bit.
The 10, yeah, exactly. But again, we don't mean to question the player.
No, it's just part of our job. And trying to figure out also, what it was that he was thinking.
And you do that real well. I mean,
well.
But in cases like that, it leaves you wondering.
Well, that could be, there's a little experience there too. Like, even if you don't think you can get position, unless it was just like a small part. If he had a pretty full pocket on the 2, you make the 2, you try to gain position, but if you don't, you play from there and still keep control of what's going on in the game. Because you can't get these back in this race to 9.
Nope. And it looks like he's going to go on to lose this game because of, taking a shot at the 10.
Yeah, and after making one great shot on the 1. that's why I also thought that knocking the 2 in wasn't much of a problem.
Well, this allowed Jeff DeLuna to run these out once he makes his 10 ball and tie things up. And again, give him time at the table. And when you give players of this caliber time at the table, they'll get comfortable. The more they're at the table, they'll get comfortable, and they'll be hard to stop. But Marco has defeated some pretty talented players. Shane Van Boning, Skylar Woodward, Torsten Homan, Mason Koch. So, and again, I'll let you guys know that the loser here will be settling for 3rd place and have a fine tournament at 3rd place, because in this field, 3rd place is saying a lot. I mean, I'd like to have that 3rd place in the U.S. Open 10 ball. But I choose to commentate instead of trying.
Yeah, he's been missing them on that side. It hadn't cost him all the time.
2 ball went.
Yeah, but that's not the way you want it heading, and not only for making balls, but as far as losing that cue ball in the side pocket. So he's got to shore that up.
3 balls. Tough to do something with.
Yeah. He can get on a 3-9 that he definitely would play if he was to get down there. I think he would take the chance on it.
Yeah,
and if he got to where he didn't like it, he could play pretty good safety. I come 2 rails to the back in between the 10-4 here. It's laying pretty perfect, I think. Yeah. Just like a middle right English, should have enough speed on this. You don't really have to draw it too much. I like to get off the rail, though, because you may not be able to go forward here too easily. I guess he can, but he's got enough cut on the 3 to where he can go forward and hit the rail with the cue ball.
Yeah, it looks like the cue ball tracks right at the pocket, just short of it, though.
Yeah.
Just short.
Because you definitely don't want to slow roll this. You want to shoot this with a little speed. Now, he could elect to play safe, but I think he's going to shoot. Nice shot there.
Yeah, and from here, here's that outside English shot where he kind of brings it back to the right side of the 8, or just come straight down and take the middle. Yeah, just come straight down, take the middle, and use the rail to get on the 5.
Yeah, he may have to follow out 2 rails. We'll just see, but just like when you're so good, you just keep the run going as simple as you can. Yeah. They'll tell you when you got to really do something, but.
The reason I was even considering going to the rail and following the 4 is so I could just go by the 10.
Yeah, naturally.
Naturally. I try to do things naturally when I should,
oh, absolutely.
line things out like that.
Just don't get too thin on the 6. With the 7 going to both pockets by the 10. That's where you just don't take a chance of getting too thin. Stay nice and heavy. There's not really a bad place with the 7 having both pockets and the 8 really accessible as well.
This looks good here.
And just don't make the 6 missable any kind of way.
Just come forward for the 7. Want to get straight in here. Might as well get straight in. And this should give Jeffrey 3 games in a row. Marco started off with a 2-0 lead, and Jeff has come back with 3 of his own. You know what I like about the Cyclop Hyperion balls with that big 10 on there? I don't need my reading glasses to read the 10. I'll probably get criticized for that comment.
No, I kind of like the logo there on one side and the bigger number on the what would be the money ball in most of those games.
It changes things a little bit, and just kind of emphasizes that's the important ball, the worthwhile ball, the money ball, that's the ball that gets it done. Make me, you get rewarded, kind of. Okay, this 27-year-old from New Zealand. I guess he moved there. I forgot to ask him where he was from originally.
Oh, he's not originally from there?
No.
Or it has to be,
You said
I'm
he
sure,
moved
Europe
there,
then.
4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago.
I'm guessing.
And he has, is it Force?
Maybe Poland, maybe. We'll try and find that out for you.
Force Sports Shops is what he has, and he's sponsored by Molinari and Massey.
Found that out. He's from the Netherlands, and actually, I think I knew that. I just should have put a little more thought into it.
Our production manager, Vincent Roquefort, has all the info on all the players from across the pond, since he's been there himself.
Yeah, now in Texan.
Yeah, he's now moving to your neck of the woods.
Corpus Christi, was in Ohio for a few years, and originally from France, Paris. Hard worker in the pool world, many different ways.
And don't let him give you that song and dance that he can't play.
Oh, Vincent?
Yeah,
I know he plays.
Yeah, he plays. In fact, I think at the last U.S. Open right here, we played a couple games of bank pool. Since that was the open of the day we were working on.
Okay, he's going to try and hold the ball up here, and he's got both corners, upper corners, that is. He got a little thinner than he wanted.
Just kind of hold it for the 5 on the side there. Place is getting jam-packed over on one side.
All kinds of, lots of pool going on in this city. Pretty much 365 days a year, it seems like.
Especially this year.
Lots of amateur pool as well in the great city of Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah, actually, in July, we just recently had the BCAPL and the USAPL, and right now the APA is running their show. And part of the reasons they hold these tournaments at different times is to have them available for those players when they come to Las Vegas.
To accommodate the amateurs.
To accommodate the amateurs to come see some of the pros play. So that is part of the reasons for the timing of some of these tournaments.
Marco kind of settling himself there. He's in perfect position, really, and it's been, for the most part, very tidy with the cue ball, meaning I really like the lines he takes and a lot of the choices. A couple times it may have been the only mistake he made in a match a few nights ago against Sky Woodward, besides some dry breaks, is just missing position a couple times. He went on to win that match, and a big one it was, but really hits the cue ball nice. Like most tall, bigger guys, is really nice flow for the swing. Uh-oh, that was the miss hit.
Careful with the side pocket.
That was a miss hit, though. He didn't. A couple things happened there. Really, kind of didn't have his normal little pause at the cue ball, and he didn't really get through the cue ball like he normally does. He kind of stopped at the cue stick at the cue ball. So.
And that's why the ball came straight up instead of catching the rail
instead
before the side pocket.
Yeah,
when he gets there.
Yeah, well, what happens is it starts at the connection between cue ball and object ball. You don't get as much on it, right? So that little bit of natural skid happens, which changes the direction of not only the object ball, the cue ball. And really kind of like the collision takes more off the ball. And along with not having as much on it, boy, it almost flirted with a big scratch here in game number 6.
Well, he's completed that.
Nice recovery.
Nice recovery. It ties it up. It goes on to tie it up at 3. And more importantly, stopped Jeffrey DeLuna. Stopped his 3-game win streak. But Jeff will get the break. He tried to kind of steal Marco's break earlier, and he was stopped by the referee. They both forgot who was breaking, I think on the second or third game. Third game. Good shot of John Lehman, our tournament director and referee, head referee. In fact, he's the head referee for all of the BCAPL and USAPL organization. The head honcho.
The guy.
He the man. Now, this is a position you don't see too often with a bent elbow like that.
I'm sorry?
Jeff's position for breaking with a bent elbow instead of kind of straight out.
Yeah. Well, it's a little more crowded.
It's crouched, yeah.
Yeah, a little more. You'll notice his back arm's still very parallel, like it's supposed to be perpendicular to the, not parallel, perpendicular to the ground at impact, that 90 degrees. But he's still very choked up on the cue. So that tells you right there he doesn't stretch the body out quite as much as most players with that more straight left arm. Even when he's shooting, you'll notice, watch, pretty standard as far as the angles are there, the correct angles are there, and there's obviously nothing wrong with his stroke. He's got plenty of power.
Yeah.
But you can see he's still way up on the handle quite a bit. Now, certain shots he'll start to stretch out a little bit more because the bridge gets longer. But he's got to roll this, huh? Oh yeah, I was wondering where he was going with that. Looked like he was like dead straight trying to move the cue ball.
Well, he's left a good shot here.
The one's still spinning.
Does 5 go? No, but the 4's in a good place to play whatever shape you need to get to the 5.
Yeah, and with the 1, 3, and 4 open, I mean, you want to give a little concern, but you're not worried about the 5 too much as of right now. You'd be worried about the 5 a little bit if the 3 and 4 had some problems. But otherwise, you're just going to come one row over and play the 5 up in the corner. Or you're going to produce, is my point. That's where he looks like Eric Horlifson to me, right there. I mean, like dead ringer when he's down on the ball on the certain angles. If you knew, if you knew Eric, and
pretty simple. Let the balls lead you.
well, this is another preference here. You can just, you know, throw this in a hair and hold right there very easily, or I'd like to go back and forth a couple rails to get a little closer, which I don't think really helps much. But and he almost missed the 6 doing it. Hit it awfully thick, and it still rattled home. But
we have players walking around here watching these semifinalists, kind of thinking, I could have, I should have been there.
well, the era these days definitely as a whole watch more than years ago, I think. That's perfect speed. Just an inch above the 9, which is exactly how you'd lay it if you had ball in hand. Maybe not that far away from it, which still is not far at all. But
no, it's not.
But if you had ball in hand, that's about where you'd put it. You just coast off that side rail nicely down towards. Oh, okay. So a little flinch there. Wasn't hit how he wanted.
But he got the job done. He comes up with 2 of his own.
And then a couple of these I'd like to ask Jeffrey later on, like when he shot that one ball, what he was trying to do with the cue ball. Looked awfully straight to try and move it. Now it's Marco's break, and does Marco have to wait in this position? Okay, they're going to take a timeout.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
All right now, the players are back in the arena. Marco ready to break the balls, leading 4-3 over Jeff DeLuna in the semifinal match of the U.S. Open 10-ball championships at Griff Billiards in Las Vegas, Nevada. Jeremy Jones in the booth here with George Teutscher.
Okay, the second ball shot in the side. That was the 7. He's going to get a shot on the 1. He's got some congestion, and somehow that 10's over the side pocket again, like it was, and with the 8 just a few games ago.
Yes.
I don't know if you recall that or not. It was almost exact
a little
same.
Cut shot.
Yeah, he almost got to where he had to run into the 10 with the cue ball, but well, that's what I kind of agree with, at least inspecting that right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you another one that's just almost impossible to miss. Well, if you get to where you come across the 4 and you go into the 8, you can't miss the 10. Mm-hmm. If you go into the inside of the 8, you're going to carry the 10 in, no problems asked. Now you got to kind of know the shot, and you still have to gain position on. But can you see chipping off the 8 from there?
Oh yeah.
If you come from the 4 direction, you're going right. If you hit the 8 first,
you make it 10. Sure.
Yeah, you can hit a little bit of the 8, a lot of the 8. As long as you don't hit it 100 miles an hour and make the balls kind of act funny, maybe. But yeah, I would definitely look at some type of early win here. Now let's see what the 3-9. We'll look at a 3-9 here in a second.
It wasn't. It was up high.
It wasn't playable.
It was high.
Okay.
It was playable, but it was high.
But it wasn't a hanger.
No.
Okay. Now he's going to probably want to draw. I would want to draw to the good side of the 2, where I could just come 1 rail over. And maybe get position on the 3. Did he get there?
I don't know if he can get down here. Well, he can follow. That's a tough follow to get down.
Yeah, he's a little flat.
A little flat, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought he would draw across it and try and get to like closer to the 6 a little bit, going in that direction to where he could come 1 rail across over for the 3 in the opposite corner. But
he could draw this with right low English, catch the rail and spin down. Could he?
Yeah. Well, if you knew the shot on the 4, that's what you would do. And then you just cut the 3 in the kind of where the 8's from. You cut the 3 in and go into the 9, and then you can make that carom I was talking about from pretty much anywhere over here. He's going to come 1 rail all the way down. It may be 2 rails. May catch this with a lot of inside and try and come all. Okay, he's going to need a nice collision. He's going to get it.
Well, he's going to use the 4 to make that 10.
But it depends on if he knows the shot or not. Well. It's because you can make it trying to hit the 10 first, but it's a cold-blooded hanger hitting the 8 first.
Yeah. He'll learn it.
I think he'll figure it out. He's a pretty sharp kid. Now, he could just play safe, or he could play for a bank on the 4. If he played for a bank on the 4, you couldn't fault him. I don't think he sees that carom shot, though. Now, another one he could see is get behind the 4 and cut the 4 into the inside of the 8, and then that acts almost the same as the cue ball.
Right.
Yeah, he's going to see it, I think. And he might accidentally do it anyways, trying to make the 10 clean.
Well, I don't know if he can get the cue ball back to the rail to shoot that 4 into the 8.
Well, he can't punch to the back of this? Yeah, where he's looking now.
The 9 ball's in his way, isn't it?
No, just punch to the low rail, and you don't have to get close to the 4.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to get, and you don't have to get all the way behind it. See, he's trying to cut the 4 naturally on the 10. If he realizes that I just cut the 4 into the 8, the 10's going in, well, that would make this a lot easier. And I think he'll probably see that. Don't try. Or I would shoot a 4-10 in the corner before I shot it naturally. Now, if you cut this 4 back into the 8, you cannot miss the 10. And the only way you can miss it is if you hit it like 100 miles an hour and maybe the 10 catches the point and bobbles. Just yeah, hit the 8 first. Can't miss it. If you hit the 10 first, you can miss it. You can hit it too thick. But if you hit the 8 first, there's really no chance of missing it. Am I not seeing this correct, George?
No, it looks that way, but it could hit a little high on the 10. No, I think it's in. I think he makes this.
Yeah, the only way if you hit the 8 and not make the 10 is if you hit it like really, really hard. But if you hit it kind of just a medium speed, yeah.
Vincent likes the combo for the 410 in the corner. He called it in the corner.
Well, if I didn't see the shot that we were talking about, I like the combo in the corner better than trying to get the 4 naturally on the 10. Said that a second ago. I don't think he'll miss this either.
And got the early win.
Yeah, and a 2-game lead again.
3 games of his own.
It's been a few swings with
games.
Yeah, Teutscher opening with 2, and then DeLuna back with 3, and now Marco back with 3 more.
Ball U.S. Open starts tomorrow. We'll have a first stream match at 12 noon. Players will begin at play at 10. We won't stream the 10 a.m. match, but we'll stream the 12, 2, 4, and 6 p.m. matches. It'll be a race to 8 with the extended race final to 10.
Well, DeLuna now in another pressure situation. He's handled a lot of them pretty well. But if he goes down here 6-3, gotta believe becomes a pretty big underdog to win this match. Not a huge, I guess not huge underdog, but
it goes to 9.
Yeah, he's gonna
straight in on the 1, or pretty good on the 1.
Yeah, great.
Oh, probably just
Bump
go ahead
the
and
6.
bump the 6 coming off the rail. Yeah, it looks like he might bump it either coming off or going in. It's going to be pretty close, but he should stay there. You hate to bump anything here because this layout's pretty nice.
Yeah, but that really holds the cue ball for you and gets you to where you can shoot the 1 with a little more speed.
Yeah, that's what I thought he'd just right. Now he'll go to the opposite side of the 6 ball to where the cue ball is now, but try to get straighter on the 3.
Well, he can call on the other side for the 4 on the other side also. So just don't get too steep on the 3 no matter what it is. Meaning don't make the 3 too missable. You got the 4 in both side pockets. The 5's fairly up from that end rail and very shootable later in the rack. So this is about, of course, staying away from a corner pocket. And now he's going to shoot that gap. Okay, so if you're going to shoot that gap, just go ahead and take distance. Oh, my, he missed it.
And didn't get well.
Well, and he overcut it. That caused a little bit more cue ball run, but I think he had too much on it anyways. And really being able to cue the low part of the ball, I like what you were talking about coming to the back of the 6 there. Really made it hard to get.
To not get there.
Yeah, not get there, and probably a little more comfortable way to shoot the ball in.
Sure. Which,
don't get me wrong, no matter how you told him to shoot that one in, he was supposed to make it. Again, this is where he should sacrifice distance as well and just creep the cue ball past the 5 up to about the head string area and knock the 3 in from there and get on with what you do.
I'd almost be tempted to shoot this. Well, he just draws it back out of there, or, using the rail, of course, to shoot the gap between the 4 and the 6, or go rail first and lay the cue ball just off the rail.
Well, rail first is shallow, and then the speed isn't so easy to control all the time.
That's
so
the
just dink this in and come at the 3, yeah.
Just like that. And he's nice and straight on it, so it's just almost a stop shot. In fact, it is a stop shot for the 4 to go to the 5, and from there, Marco just probably marks up another one and gets to that 6-3 you just talked about.
He's looking at this 3-game lead, staring him right in the face.
Jeremy, what would you attribute as we watch Marco go through these and finding out now that he's from the Netherlands originally, now playing out in New Zealand? What would you attribute the success of the players coming from Europe, that they're able to come over here with, they're very talented, very knowledgeable players. I think they progress, or they get all that information almost at a higher rate than maybe the American players might.
Well, I think a lot of what. Oh, watch out now! Watch out! And that's trying to get a perfect 2-rail angle, flirting a little bit. So you got to just be careful on things like that. Of course, you always want the nice angle, but if you dress up a little heavy on the 6, of course you can get over for the 7. But getting at what you were asking about, first off, a lot of this information they're getting is American pool.
Yes.
So it's a way that players long before any of us here in the last era or two, that's how they played the game as well. It's a lot of the same things. It's not a lot of new knowledge or developed knowledge from the people these days playing, but and one thing is they play a lot together. The pro players play a lot of, or the best players in Europe play a lot together in the Euro Tour and different events. Means a lot. The training, the government aid has a lot to do with it. And many of the countries, as the Netherlands, where Marco's from, the top 4 players there get government funding every year. That's why it's so important for them to keep their status, is because they basically get money to live on and train on.
So they have a sponsor, where the American players don't don't have that at all.
Well, not from the government.
Right.
Yeah, it's a government thing, so it's actually just money. But it's a financial support that helps. And I also think, if you look, everybody, it's a big topic for America, and it's one that needs to be addressed, but it's also a little bit off, I think. I think it's just America was very dominant. And I think it's mainly a lot of the other countries have just come up pretty well. Yeah, no, and passed a little bit maybe in some areas, but it's not so much that I don't think America's fallen behind. They have fallen behind as far as need more great players.
Well, you made
but Europe has caught up a lot.
Sure.
But if you also look at a number of other things, if you look country to country. Probably maybe Poland has the most top players from Europe, but not too far behind. How many can you name from Germany that are just like great off-the-chart players? Well, you got Filler and Souquet, and you've had some in the past, but then look at Great Britain. How many can you say? There's Jason Shaw and a Darren Appleton and the Carl Boys, and there's guys that are great players, but it's not like there's truckloads from any one country. You'd have to go more like Chinese Taipei or maybe even the Philippines that are producing them a little bit more at numbers. And the Netherlands. Netherlands, you got to give the hats off there. They have quite a few good players.
Well, those you made some great.
I don't think it's as bad as what.
No, I don't think it's bad, but you do see a noticeable difference, and you see players coming from there. Well, a good example was this World 10 Ball that we just held. It was just held here in Las Vegas that we were able to commentate and take a good look at, because for me that's one of the first times I've seen players of that caliber from those nations. I had not seen the Taiwanese play before, or the Chinese Taipei play before, and a lot of the Polish players, I hadn't seen them either. And I was rather impressed with their fundamentals, their mechanics, their patterns, everything was real clean, it was very, I guess you might want to say, educated, and it seemed like it was taught.
Well,
that's the whole
that's
thing.
one thing it does do. It leads towards they've been trained a little bit more from a younger age, which is not the traditional way in America for the last however long. It happens, of course, but you get more trained by match play scenarios than you do anything else.
And you know, we'll get on to this match right here because he looks like he's got a shot that goes by the 9. The 1 ball goes, and I believe he can't see it, so he will take it on. 2 balls in the open. But one of the things you mentioned is they play each other a lot. Well, that's great reference because what you see is what you really soak in, and so when they're watching each other play is where that learning comes into play in my mind.
Yeah, and it's just like us commentating from outside of the box. What we see or what we think should happen or what should be routine, when you're in the heat of battle, it's not. And so as much as watching them, getting that feeling while it's happening to you for some of these guys, and like, you know, the actual play part of the Euro Tour, not just them getting to watch each other, but actually compete against each other. And it does a lot for a couple other things. You gain a lot of respect for one another that way, even though you may not be best of friends all the time.
Less hostilities between each other.
Well, yeah, and if it's not a motivator in between.
Nice shot.
Yeah, great shot. And if it's not a motivator in between, even though somebody I may not care for that much or may not be my cup of tea, if I'm around them a lot and they're doing the right things, well, that's going to motivate me a little bit, even though he may not be my hero.
Right.
You know,
right.
Does that make sense?
No,
I guess
you learn from. I mean, you learn from watching the other players. If somebody's having successes, you figure out what those successes are, and how to make them your own.
Yeah, and discipline can rub off.
Sure.
Practicing can rub off. You know, you see somebody putting in more time.
Well, if it works for him, it will work for me too.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. But
well, Marco looking to try and take over this match with one heck of a long shot on the 1, and really just kind of had to roll it in to hold for the 2. And that's one thing I really like, that he didn't do anything extra on the 1. It wasn't a fun way to shoot the 1, just having to roll it with medium speed from a long distance off the rail. So now he's got to do the same thing here.
well, the 6 ball is a little tough because it doesn't go by the 7, I don't think.
No,
and so he's got to get up. He wants to just kind of hold it right by the side pocket, which is going to be hard to do. A little bit inside the English, a little bit of a draw to just come up a little, not very much.
Low left or low right? You mean
low right, a little low right.
Low right.
When I use that, the cue ball kind of comes up a little more than it normally does, and it kills better for me.
Well, yeah,
so I like it.
You got to cut the ball. He's going high right around. I'm not great love with that either, but he's done this a few times in situations we didn't expect it. And he hit it great.
He's gone
he
for
actually
the side
got
pocket.
more out of it than he anticipated.
Oh wow! Yeah, when it's off the rail a little bit, I use the inside there, and I've noticed I'm one of the few players that does that. So maybe I'm wrong.
No, just you know, on just a little bit of a cut.
Yeah,
just
a little bit of a cut.
I've done that before on one that I got to cut a little more.
No, then I stay away from that.
Yeah, it's a little harder. I think he can beat the scratch here with a high ball. I really do. You may have to be high inside, meaning high left English a little bit. It's close, though.
Yeah, I think he has to kind of influence it a little bit so it doesn't scratch.
Taking a little more time here. Yeah, I think he can beat it as long as he doesn't baby the stroke. Get through the ball. Make sure that you get through the cut. Nice shot. Well, he's hitting everything how he wants, isn't he?
Yes, he is, because he hit that to the outside of the pocket. You know, to the left side of the pocket, not dead center. They come right down for this 8 ball.
It's a smart shot, too. A lot of people try to get to that second rail, not recognizing that's not really a place to go. You want to float into that position.
Yeah, that was just played perfectly.
I'll tell you what, you never know from match to match, and especially not seeing a ton of Marco in the past. You know, if I see a guy like Darren Appleton or some of these other guys that are so great at the end of the tournament, if I see them put on a really solid semifinal before that one race final, it kind of makes me think I like them a little bit, just because that time at the table and coming off of what is a real solid, high-pressured match already. Now with Marco, I'm not sure. I kind of feel the same thing though. Like Dennis is going to have to do. If Marco goes on to win here and keeps doing it in the fashion he's doing it, Dennis is going to have his hands full.
Well, Dennis is going to have his hands full regardless. This young man has already shown us he can really play. The one thing about it though is, you know, I think the not playing is not going to really hurt Dennis. And he'll be rather comfortable.
Yeah, and that's not what I didn't mean that as much as how well this will exactly. Yeah.
As they're coming in very positive, very focused, very
you know, and
working out their success already.
Right.
And
hitting the ball well, however you want to call it.
No, I do believe that gives the incoming player a little bit of an advantage if they performed well.
Under high pressure, too. This is
exactly.
Just about as much pressure as the final, if not more. You know, like I said, if it was a guy like Darren Appleton in form, or you know, just a number of players I could choose from, and I see them play this type of match in the semifinals, you don't know they're going to win, but I know that kind of match, if they get the opportunity, is going to happen again.
Sure.
They're not going to really just all of a sudden start missing.
Yeah, you look to that. You look to them to have a good final match.
Oh yeah, given the opportunity.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's the one horrible thing about our game. Sometimes the opportunity isn't given. That
yeah, you stay in the chair, but the alternate break format gives you that opportunity.
Yeah, I'm just saying. So, you know how the pool gods can be. You know, snooker you on the break almost every time.
Funny how that comes up.
Balls tie up you can't get to, so you're gonna have to play safe. Get kissed in. You know, just funny things.
Yeah, well, this young man right here needs to fix this right here, right now.
Yeah, and this all started with a one ball that he tried to really juice up, trying to get position that just
you wondered
didn't look
exactly
possible.
What are you doing with this? Yeah.
He saw something that I didn't see. Okay, you hit it on the wrong side again. Now the one's going to hang, so that's going to help. And we'll see about getting positioned back around the table for the two on the side. It looks like it's just like easy, but it's actually not.
No, not with the five, with those three balls over there in the middle of the table.
Yeah, and with the one so straight on the left side rail here, hard to hit it thin and come straight down the table. And if he goes around them balls, he has to put a little speed on it.
Yeah.
And, you know, coming down the table, the 10 could get in play.
And then it's a long time for that cue ball to hold that inside English to come down for the two ball.
Yeah. He may draw this. He may show off that draw stroke right here and just draw straight out.
There you go.
No, he's going around it. He's hitting low right. So he's going around the 4-5 now. Watch out for the 10. Oh, he put a lot on it, so it shouldn't be any problem, the 10. And a smart way to play it, if you're going to play it, hard to really predict getting behind the 10 with that speed. Or expect, rather. Maybe predict might not have been the right word.
I think you just stop this, draw back a little, take the little cut on the 4 to get on the 5.
Well, did he get out there far enough? I guess so.
It's pretty straight. He's going to come straight back. Actually,
he's falling towards the rail here.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, if he doesn't have the entire pocket right here, he may have to draw the short side, because if the 9's there, You can't like slam it to one side
Right.
and try and get the cue ball out. He may catch the 9, and that'll miss at that speed most likely. So you may have to draw the short side on the 4. We'll see. Speed's crucial, George, and it's no good.
No. Oh, Jeffrey.
And that just all kind of started with really missing a simple position from the 2 to the 3, right?
Well,
2's over the side, the 3's right there. All you got to do is get above the 3, and then you can get on the good side of the 4.
I by no means mean to criticize, but he's shown us his patterns aren't as clean, crisp as we call them sometimes, I guess you might say. He thinks for himself, and he plays some position that requires extremely accurate cue ball.
Right, really.
Yeah, it's real high tech. I mean,
like a lot of execution involved.
Exactly, and
what
it's got him in trouble.
Well, it's cost him a few games throughout the tournament, but he's still in there. But what it does is, that's why I say a lot of times, if you get used to doing a lot of the same things when you're running out, meaning there's 4 or 5 6 different common ways to play position, and if you stick to those, even when it's, let's say, landing you a little further away from the next ball, it's still okay because you do a lot of the same strokes. It's when it's almost like playing one pocket. You know, you're beating a guy a certain way, and then all of a sudden this little 3-rail shot pops up, and something tells you need to shoot at it. Well, you're beating a guy a certain way. Don't vary. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just keep doing the same things you're doing. And that's what happens whenever. Sometimes you have such a repertoire, like an arsenal, like Jeffrey does, that it'll say, man, well, I just got to do this over here, a little inside English. And just like that 8 to the 9, I think, in the last match when he went 3 rails with the cue ball.
Yeah, he's just such a great player and he just figures, well, I can do whatever I want to do, and sometimes it just doesn't pan out. And this stopped the bleeding because Marco had won 5 games in a row to get the 7. So Luna wins one of his own, and now it's 7-4. And he'll be breaking. So that was big to win. The game he won was a big game for him to win. First and foremost because he needed it. Secondly, because it was on Marco's break.
Yeah, we can certainly get right back in this match. We've seen it time and time again. Some big leads in this alternate break format kind of go away.
The one thing against him, though, is that Marco's not making the mistakes to allow that, and his break has held firm. So something's going to have to change on that side of the equation. But we've seen it change for all players. So
yeah, and Marco has struggled here, not with really the hit of the break so much. I think he's been good there, but just not making balls at times.
Okay.
So had some the 10-ball move on him a lot, to where we kind of kept up with that, to where that was a sign of a dry break a lot of times.
And those are the things that would allow Jeffrey that advantage back in.
This match here, though, I think he just started off. He had 1 dry break, and that's it.
No, he's broken good. He's broken real well. He's been a force with the break. It's worked for him.
Okay, 4-railer, nothing, I think.
Yeah, there's 10 balls on the table.
Yeah.
Plus the cue ball. No real, well, he can cut it back. See, he's looking to shoot this. I'm looking to put that cue ball right up against the 8 and the 7.
And that's what he's going to do as well, right? I mean, you just got to bank the 1 down table and put the cue ball behind. I think I would bank it down maybe. I don't know.
I like crossing it and going to the side rail and coming into the 8.
Right, but where do you put the 1? You leave the 1 on that end, or you bring it back down by the 10?
Whatever. I'd bank it straight up the rail and kind of in line with the 5.
Okay.
Because that's the angle that the cue ball is going to come off the 1.
Right.
So I'm just really planning to put the cue ball up against those 2 balls. And these balls down here on the bottom, the 7, 6, 10, and 2 take away the kick shot, the long rail, so he's going to have to kick up on top to get to it.
He's calling.
He's calling. When he first started looking at it, he was looking to make the ball. He was looking to make it all the way. That's not even considered a safety behind those 2 balls.
Yeah, well, he got a dry break here, and I mean, I don't think he's going to go around them balls. I think he's going to catch the 7 if he hits it well, and if he hits it badly, he's going to scratch. He hit it thick because he's trying to get around them balls. He only got around them because he hit the 1 way thick. If he had hit it thin, I think off the 2nd rail, he would have caught the 7.
He is a very offensive player. Great shot maker.
Just soft spin this and hit the 1 kind of full with the right English and just let the cue ball kind of bleed off 1 rail behind the 7 lightly, I think.
I think so.
I mean, you could elevate and try to make a carom shot on the 7. It's very makeable.
And the 1 ball's going to go to where, you got the 5 and the 3 down here that can mess things up for you, so you know where it's going.
Yeah, it's if he elevates,
traffic,
he's attacking. Otherwise, I think you just got to level out. You got a nice way to hit the 1 here. You don't have to hit it thin, which is kind of not so pleasant. You get to hit it nice and thick and not so soft because you get to hit it thick.
Yeah,
and
that's
you
what
got
he's
2
done.
balls.
Oh, easy. It's leaked out.
Yeah, he didn't really spin it. He kind of hit it with a flat ball. He may have left him a shot here. Across side maybe and cross the cue ball over and go down towards the 3 for shape. Probably play safe before he went after that. But
Well, he can't cross the bank, can he? It's laying in that real funny area where if you cross it's going to come short. And you can't stiffen it. You can stiffen it, but you can't get the cue ball down for the 2.
I think maybe the 1 is playable, but he's just going to knock the 1 away down by the 2-3 and bring the cue ball back behind the 7 and 8. If he had that bottom side of the 1, this is a pretty big error by Marco. Oh, he scratched. He didn't check the cue ball up enough, and he let it go. Unfortunate for Jeffrey.
It's funny, he's got ball in hand and doesn't seem to have a pocket.
Really?
This is the only one he can find. 5's got the upper corner. You're not about to shoot it to the side.
You wouldn't shoot that in the side with ball in hand? No?
No, I don't. I wouldn't like it. I'd rather look for a corner to shoot it in.
I'm saying if there was nothing else.
If there's nothing else, well, then you're forced to shoot. I'd probably play safe up against the deuce.
Play safe, I guess.
Yeah, I played safe up against the deuce. I'd send the 1 ball into the 8 or down there and just put the cue ball up against the deuce. But it looks like it might go by the 10, or he's probably just setting things up for the future and putting the cue ball against the deuce.
Oh, he's drawing it.
So now he's not going against the deuce.
Well, maybe just lightly moving it over. Oh, he's drawing it back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. He had room to go by the 10.
And the reason why he set it up like that is because it was kind of tight. So he didn't want to set up with an angle and just shove the cue ball over for straight in on the 2 because the 1 was so tight. So you set that up dead straight. You can be very accurate with making the 1 to a tight pocket. And then you just draw the cue ball for position. That way, you have to do a little more for position, but you're never missing the 1 that way. Can he get to where he can pull this above? I guess so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he can.
He can go up. He can go up to the middle, just past the 5. He can probably go into the 5.
Okay, that's nice. He can come across now. Maybe contacting the 9, but he's trying to go 2 rails above. See, this is where you don't worry. I don't know if I would worry about trying to play so perfect and come in between the side pocket and the 5 above. I mean, don't get me wrong. Coming across into the 9, there are a few funny spots the ball could land, but none of them are going to be terrible, and they're definitely not going to be scratching in the side pocket.
No, he's not. Yeah.
At first, he was looking at trying to come in that little gap above the side, but before the 5. And, you know, if you're playing a computer program or some kind of video game, you just line it up and it just does it for you. But in the real world, you have to consider other things. And, man, he didn't get much right English on that at all.
Does he have a bank there?
He's trying to chip the forward, run right to the back of the 8, I think. He's got options, so be very clear here. You don't, you let him see a piece of it. Jeffrey's just got to rub this and try and run 1 rail right back up on that 10. Right? I mean, you could run around table.
Else, yeah.
I mean, you could run around table. But the problem is if you run the cue ball around table on this shot right here.
4 ball runs out to the open.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You better have full command of the 4 because there's a lot of gaps if you don't get the snooker. Me, myself, I think I'm just coming across this and being confident I can come 1 rail right into the 10.
Let the 6 ball do your work.
Yeah, I think anyways.
Yeah.
Again, another one, if you're playing a video game, you just chip it and you run the cue ball a few rails behind the 8. And 4 ball falls on the end rail, but that requires a lot of execution in the real world. Yeah, no, he's going to get away with that one. I don't think that was probably the intended snooker, just pushing the 4 below them balls.
This is kickable.
Oh, yeah. And if you hit it towards the hole, the cue ball is going to come up table, so you have some good things that can happen even on a miss.
And also, if you hit it thick, it can, the 4 ball can go off the 7. It can go off the 10 for the pocket.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could try to kick safe as well here. Actually, it's not sitting that bad to clip it or hit it thick.
Well, it didn't work out for him, but it didn't have to work out that bad for him either. But he was kicking in an open area, but You know, so.
Creeping back in it now.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be breaking off at 7-5. So.
Executing this right here, and then a good break and clearance gets him to 6. 1 game back. Pretty much turning the game around, except he's down a break.
Yeah, he still needs a little bit of help.
Yep. Jeffrey's going to walk out for a little bit. John will rack the balls here. Well, guys, keep in mind that the loser here will settle or get to 3rd place. $3,800 plus 360 points in the all-around for the all-around monies. There's $5,000 added for that, and it's $3,500 to the winner plus entry to the Predator World 10 Ball to be held during March 11th through the 21st, somewhere in that period of time. And probably just like we just held it 2 weeks ago. The Diamond Las Vegas Open 9-ball first, 3 or 4 days. And then the World 10-ball the next 4 days. Second place with the all-around for the 8-ball and the 10-ball is $1,500. And they get points for their finish. Example would be first place gets 432 points. Second place is 390, 360, 324 on down the line. 5th, 6th is 288. 7th, 8th is 252. And all the way down to 16, I believe, they give points out. So Jeffrey back now. He will be breaking the balls at 7-5 in this race to 9. So we're closing in on the end of the match. The final will come up, you know, with maybe a 10 to 15 minute break in between. We'll bring that to you right afterwards, and it'll be the winner of this match versus Dennis Ercolo. Big break from Jeffrey. There goes the 5.
He's got a shot on the 1.
Nice shot on the 1.
Yeah.
So it could easily be within the game by the time Marco comes back to the table.
Yeah, it's really about this first shot on the 1, just kissing the cue ball into the 8 for position on the 2. key on most of these is don't let up on it. Don't baby it. Get on through it. That way you don't just stop on the 8. You kind of make sure your cue ball still has some energy getting through there.
Yeah, he may not hit the 8. He should run into the 8 here, and it'll clip it over for a good spot on the 2. There you go.
Okay, we'll see if he can keep things to a minimal here on the 2 to the 3. He should just stop his ball and take the shot on the 3. And seen in situations Jeffrey do a few different things, but I think he's fairly handcuffed here. So.
Well, he did what you don't want to do early in the rack, is get straight in.
Yeah, couldn't do much about it there, though. He was going into a piece of the 8, and it was pretty hard to figure out. I mean, totally know exactly how much of the 8 you're getting.
Well, I know he doesn't mind being straight in here because the stop shot gets him the 4 and the rest of the rack. What a much needed break and run.
All right.
He's able to finish it off here. He's got to stay with it, stay focused, stay simple.
Probably just set up to draw the ball here.
Sure.
You could go past it for the cut, but that offers a little bit of an angle to move the cue ball maybe a little easier. But this table draws so nice, and you stay nice and heavy on the 9, not making it very missable at all. Okay, he's got a little angle, so he's going to follow and just to stay clear. Oh, he drew it in. Okay. Ooh.
Well, you don't want to draw it up because there's a side pocket there, so
right, that's
he got close to his work.
Yeah.
You were about to say.
I thought he got on top of the 10 again like he did
it looked
earlier.
like it. Well, that was a big needed execution by Jeffrey. Great break, got straight in on the 1, and then from there just ran his way around and got the win for the game. And now trails by 1 game instead of he trailed at, 7-3? He's won 3 of his own, so it's 7-6. Sitting a little more relaxed in the chair now, huh?
Who's that?
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey, oh, yeah.
He still has that nervous energy going because he's still in the heat of the moment, or heat of the battle. Marco Teutscher.
Okay, Marco had a dry break in his last, and kind of kept that door open for this little 3-game spurt by Jeffrey, along with some stellar play by Jeffrey.
This young man needs one of those break and runs. To get to the hill.
Well, I think he'll be successful as long as he don't cross that 1 over. He's breaking from what is his left. Now, if he hits the 1 on the right, could be another dry one. Okay, that was square and on that good side. So we saw balls track nicely. The 8's going to get out of the way, but he's going to have 1 tough starter on an elevated 1 ball. 1 he's probably still going to shoot at. If he can bury it, he's going to go into the 6 most likely, but you got to figure most likely going to come away with a shot. The problem is you don't want to baby it going into a piece of the 6. You want to have a little steam on the cue ball.
Taking his time.
That's a big shot. It's a tough
Big shot. No, I was going to say taking his time. This is a tough shot. He's going to probably be elevated a little bit here. He's already kind of looked at the shot. And now it's a matter of just draining this one ball. And he's concerned about that one ball going towards that 6 and maybe getting hooked behind the 6.
Yeah.
And it's something to be concerned about.
I think he's still supposed to shoot at it, though. I mean, you're not rolling out. And the safety doesn't look very great to me at all. And
he's still faced with being elevated over that forward and uncomfortable bridge to play safe, too. So you might as well shoot at it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if there was some kind of natural hit on the one where you had a little room for error to play safe on something, you could bang it around the table or something you felt pretty confident in. That's one thing, but big shot, though. Wow, what a great hit. He didn't.
And he did go into the 6.
And he didn't slow roll it, did he?
No, he didn't.
Man, how straight does the kid shoot?
Don't know. He hasn't been tested yet.
And another one here. And this is where I might roll the 2 in, and I might fall below the 3 for some goofy shot in the side or the corner. And if I hold it up with the right English or whatever, that's fine. But I don't try to punch it back and forth from that distance or none of that.
Just roll it in.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a crucial spot in the tournament here.
I like it. I'm thinking,
don't baby it, but just come across the table. You might bump the 3 okay. You might get underneath the 3 for the side. You're never getting snookered. And I think as far as making the ball here, it goes way up as far as the percentages on making the ball. He's cueing downward, so when asked to do more, he's done it most of the week. And so he's going back and forth between the 4 and the 6 with the cue ball. Easy ball to miss like this. Great hit.
Drained it. Nice cue ball, very well controlled.
Yeah, he made me look a little foolish there. He hit that ball well.
He didn't look foolish. He just made a great shot.
Right, but I mean, he made it look like the correct way to play it, and you know, in reflection, it may be.
Well, we get to that preference.
Right.
You know, he's more comfortable shooting with a little draw. A lot of 9-ball players or rotation players. It's been my experience. You know more about it than I do, but it's been my experience. They like to use a lot of low English rather than follow. I don't think you really graduate to follow English until you start playing games like one pocket, like
maybe
And
he's gotten himself a little out of line here. Not bad,
but if you watch guys that just play 9-ball and that's all they play, they draw the ball almost all the time.
Right. Okay, just got to regroup and realize, hey, I can pinch this up above for a little cut on the 6. Not a problem. I don't know if I go forward into the 8 here. That's what he's looking at now, and it's not horrible. And I don't think it makes the 5 missable. But, you know, what if you kind of catch the 8 a little thin and kind of carry the cue ball with the 8? You could get jacked up in this spot. Because it's not natural to go right into it where you can move the 8 a good foot away, I don't think. I think you're just barely stunning and knocking the 8 like 3 or 4 inches away. Oh, he got into a lot of it. Okay.
Easy. He's good.
He's good.
He's real good.
Making one heck of an out here. Man, what a one-ball shot he made. What a one-ball. I mean, the 2 is great, too, but the one with that much power, I had to put it at around a 50 percentile. You make that shot dead jacked up, shooting at that much speed.
And then he caught the 7 or the 6 there on the side of the rail, sent him up the table, and then he had to come with that really nice shot on the 2.
Oh yeah.
And it's going to pay dividends because this puts him on the hill.
Man, really, I think we talked about it after his first match. We saw him play against, was it Skyler, I believe?
Yeah, we had that 3-hour match. Yeah, it was
right.
Skyler.
That I'm not sure we've seen too many really strike the ball any better this week, if any.
Yeah, he's been hitting the ball real good. He's been real crisp, clean. His patterns are real nice. He just showed us a great way to play shots. And he's got this 9 and 10 to get on the hill.
And Jeffrey DeLuna will need 3 more in a row to continue on in this U.S. Open 10-ball championships. All these guys will be back this week, starting tomorrow for the U.S. Open 8-ball. Should be one heck of a tournament.
Noon tomorrow as we start the stream.
Well, looks like we have another timeout called.
All righty. That'll give us time to have a little water and you guys time to run to the fridge real quick because the finals are about to start right after this. We'll come with give us about 15 minutes in between, and we'll come with the final of the winner of this match and Dennis Arcolio. RoboCop waiting for the winner of this match in the finals. Playing for $10,000 first place money, $6,500 second place money. The loser here is going to take home $3,800. I wish. I would sound a lot better. It would never be that much, you know that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a lot.
Yes, sir. Way behind. Is that all right, 6 o'clock?
6:30.
6:33.
No, it's only one race final. Oh, it is. Race to 11.
And Marco's back. We are on.
All right, we're back in action.
Jeff breaking to stay, keep his hopes up for the getting into the finals. And to stay in the match. Marco will get a break.
Jeffrey's got the one in a lot of nice places. I kind of expect that to continue. All right, hit it on the wrong side again. He's going to get a shot on the one, though.
And a nice clean one.
Yeah, another, I think, a little bit of a decision with the 3 on the left side rail. Do you just pinch it back for the cut on the 3, or do you go forward with the cue ball trying to come out 2 rails and
If you can get to the rail, I'd go the 2-rail forward.
Would you? He's got an angle to get there, but I'm telling you, man, these are easy pockets, right? So
Yeah.
I really like not making the 1 so missable and just drawing this back past the 5. You cut the 3 and
Okay,
go back
just
and
a little bit
forward.
back? I gotcha, I
think
gotcha.
so. I mean, under pressure, that's the one I like better than the top end side on the slick table. But
and it leaves you natural on the 3 for the 4.
yeah, you go back and forth. You pick the speed you want on the
I like
3. I think that's what he's doing. At first, yeah, and well, he did the the third option.
Again, the third option was to power draw
he got
to get
away with
straight
this
in on
now.
the 1. Wow. That was he plays to a high degree of accuracy, and sometimes it gets away from him. Dennis Ercolo in the house. And has been for a bit since he was supposed to go on for you at 6 o'clock.
Okay, here with the 6-8 the way it is. The 5's near, so just don't kick to where you're going to disrupt those, correct? I mean,
yeah, you don't want to move those
as
2
difficult
balls.
as possible.
Yeah, leave that. Let him do his own work, own dirty work. He could kick here. If he kicks 1 rail at this 1 ball, he hits the bottom side of it, he could end up behind that 5 or somewhere with that 5-9. It might cause him trouble. If he doesn't hit it real thick, it's a kind of light, he could end up in a good place.
I think I'd call the 10 and kick hard at the 1 here
Would
myself.
You?
Yeah, if I could cue the right side of the ball here.
Yeah, I thought about that. I thought I'd rather kick it and try to get something.
Get some fortune, why not?
Underneath it. You could see John in the background there checking his watch. Well, Jeffrey's going to have a good chance here to get himself right and come within the game. The score could be tied at 8. He's got some work to do here. He's got quite a bit of work to do. That's 6-8 that we just talked about. Making sure he didn't break up, was not broken up. And even getting good on his 3 ball, which he tried to do last time. But he's got to make the 1-9, keep the 1 in front of the pocket. Don't let it get on the back rail, just like that.
He may need the bridges again. Now, the one thing he's got to think about is the 5's not bad to break the 6-8. From anywhere in the center of the table, you cut the 5 in and you go naturally towards the 6-8. So I think he probably recognizes that. I would think so. Don't flirt here with the breakout. Don't try to go by the 5, rail first, and come 3 rails and break out the 6-8 now. Just get to the 3.
He's going to have a hard time getting a good angle on this 5 to break those out.
You think? Center?
Yeah,
No,
right
center of the table. Yeah, just a high right ball. You come 1 rail right into either one of them.
That's if he does that. I think he's going to try to bring this cue ball close to the 5.
Well, he's got a perfect angle right now to come. Oh, now he's looking
going
at
to try to look at it, try to get it now.
Well, that's just not having much knowledge then. I don't know what else to call it.
He's going to draw this 2 rails to try to break those 2 up now and get position on the 5.
Well, these players at this class should definitely recognize coming 2 rails to the center of the table just offers a little cut shot on the 5. 1 rail right towards the 6-8. He's going to shoot at a shot to where if he breaks him out, he could get still snookered. Or scratch off of him. Like if he nicked that ball right there, he could have scratched off of him. Or scratched, just straight on scratched.
Yeah.
He hit right next to the side corner pocket. So.
And now he's straight in. He's going to be coming straight.
I
think
might
the
be able
10
to
ball,
come at it.
The 10 ball might stop him from doing that unless it's straight.
Yeah. Probably, still actually got to where he can do something with it. Yeah.
And he did.
And he's in trouble. He's in a bit of trouble. He's going to have to knock the 6 probably below the 10 and try and use the 7 as some type of safety.
I just kind of rolled the cue ball behind the 8. Or what would you do? Just cut the 7 and get the cue ball behind the 10.
Cut the 6 and
the 6. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, I think I put the 6 below the 10 and try and put the cue ball behind the 7. I think.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's close.
Yeah, the speed works. The speed works, and so does the angle.
I think so. I think you're going to not hit the 8 with the cue ball doing that. He used the 8 a little bit. And it'll be close. Get the overhead here in a second. We'll get an angle and see what he's got to work with. Well, I think he's going to not like it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't see him liking this. At first, I thought he might be able to bank that 6 up and take the cue ball over behind the 8.
Well, that's
the
what
10 ball
mean.
Stops that.
No, I think he can do it.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is, the 6, you can't really hold the 6. You got to just play the cue ball only.
Sure.
Meaning the 6 is going to be available somewhere. He could try to drift the 6 behind the 8 and bring the cue ball over to the side rail also, the opposite side rail. We talked about it before that a lot of today's pool isn't necessarily about having all the knowledge, but really being able to execute with the open tables. And oh, he got a friendly nick there because that would have been giving up a shot.
Sure.
And he kind of laid off it. You had to kind of attack a little bit more and get through that ball. That way you come up the side rail much closer to the 8.
Just bank that straight down to the bottom rail where that piece of chalk he just put down and take the cue ball up to the upper right-hand corner pocket.
Yeah, you can't really. Yeah, you leave him a piece of that, or you leave him a look at that, you're probably going to be in trouble. So, I don't know. I may run my cue ball here off the left side of the 6, come 2 rails to the back of the 10, and hoping that the 7 helps the cover on the 6 as well.
Okay.
It's a little tougher execution, but at this level, I think it's supposed to be something they can handle. Well, he didn't get there, and he's left a shot, but it's not an easy one.
So he didn't get the cover, but he got the distance.
Yeah. And your shot really overall isn't not a bad shot, but just at this level with the 8 being there, if you leave him a piece, he's going to bank it back down and put you behind the 8. So I didn't mind Jeffrey going for a little bit tougher execution, but I think a little more reward. He's still got a tough one to come with here to win, right?
Yes, he does. But this does win him the match, and he shoots real straight. We've seen him shoot several shots kind of along these lines, if not a little harder. But
He made a 1-ball in the
Yeah.
last match that was really, really nice. Oh, no, it was this match, wasn't it? It was the beginning of this match, I believe.
This match,
yeah.
he made the 1-ball, then he also made that 2-ball.
Yeah, I was thinking the last match was Jeffrey and Thorson. It wasn't Marco. Marco had lost in the Winterside final, so he sat in the last round, watched. And pretty impressive play to get up after a little bit of sitting as well.
He's staring his 6-ball down. His point of contact.
All right.
So clean. So clean. Just makes those shots.
And the funny thing is, that's a harder shot at the speed
The speed he played
had
it. Yeah,
to shoot it.
That's why. That was what's so impressive. Is he's just so clean. He rolls the ball in. So, you know.
But it looks pure, even though it's slow.
Yeah.
Even though it's like a mild speed, it looks very crisp.
He didn't really slow roll it. He hit it just the way it's supposed to be hit.
But it was a full stroke, even though it was lighter, pretty much. Kind of like Efren. That's one reason why Efren was so good. Even with the lighter shots, he could still take a full stroke doing it. So under pressure, that's always going to help.
These 2 balls to move right in to meet Dennis Circolio in the finals. He's got to put these 2 down.
Got back to the final, and the young man should be happy.
He sure is. 9-6 win over Jeffrey DeLuna. What a clean match. Well played. We'll have the finals for you in a few. Stay with us, folks. Don't leave us. You've got one of the best finals coming up in a long time. Dennis Circolio versus Marco Teutscher.
And presiding. If you need me to look at anything special, just tell me. Who wants time at the table?